Hey folks, Steve here with a special unboxing for you for you today. Yes, we are looking at the Spanish-American War 1898, just released by Compass Games. I got my shipment today, and so this is the unboxing for this. So a little bit of information around this one, guys, in case you're not aware. This is not a game called Dawn of Empire. That is a different game covering the Spanish-American War, published by Compass Games. Previously, that's sort of a newer design game from the last decade or so, or something like that. This is a designer signature edition, though it doesn't say that on the cover. I think at one time it was going to. This is actually a reprint, remake of, I think it was Remember the Main, Spanish-American War 1898, which was a strategy and tactics, maybe magazine game from the 80s. I'm informed by Board Game Geek, so there's no special research associated with this. I just knew that it was going to be a reprint, and there are some specific cool bits about this game design that we'll take a look at here as we unbox it. Game design by Vance von Borries. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it is coming in a thick, reasonably thick box, right? Thicker than your normal game box from GMT. And let's flip this guy over just to get a good look at what is it that we're dealing with here. You can pause this and read the blurb, and that's all well and good. You can see there's a strategic level map showing the Caribbean and the coasts of our countries of import here. And some example counters that you can see here. Naval units, basic units. Complexity medium, time scale, one turn is 20 minutes. So I wonder about that. We'll look into that as we go. One area is variable, one hex is variable, which is interesting. The unit scale is one ship or battalion or regiment. 2 to 4 players. We'll see about the 2 to 4. Obviously, this could be played 2-player. Suitability for solitaire medium. This will probably be how I play the game. Average time to play, 3 to 6 hours, which is actually really interesting because it could mean this is a nice, shorter, what am I saying? Convention game. Maybe I should take this to a coming convention. Recommended age 14 and up. Okay. We get 3 color maps, each standard map size, 2 counter sheets of 5/8 inch counters, and 2 counter sheets of 3/4 inch counters, which, so fair number of counters here, guys. 5 land setup displays, 3 naval setup displays, 3 player raid cards, 2 laminated, interesting, naval status cards, 2 random event cards, 2 random event cards. That's interesting. Oh, I assume that means it's a player aid sheet. We'll see. 1 rulebook, 1 dry erase marker. That's interesting. 2 6-sided dice. See the rest here. And the real interesting thing with this game here, guys, is that there's the strategic map, but then as you get into hot spots, important battle locations, you have these tactical maps. Havana, Puerto Rico, Santiago, Cienfuegos. So you sort of, you're fighting up here, you're maneuvering on the strategic map, and then you inevitably, I think, zoom into a more tactical display, which is I know there are some other games that do that, but, it's not something you see super often. Maybe from the 80s, this was something that, people were toying with, and we don't keep up with this as a mechanic very often, but definitely something worth looking at. Let's get the shrink off, and let's take a look at what we got. Fresh shrink wrap. All right, we'll get the big lid off. All right, okay. 2 dry erase markers I got, so that's good. 1 for each player, I assume. Along with our baggies, so kindly provided baggies with a kindly provided single D6 die, standard stuff. All right, we've got our suffocation warning bag. Where this is something I'm seeing more from Compass. I don't know if this. I'm not sure. I'm just so used to the rule books just being in the box. I don't know if this bag really helps anything, but we have here a sheet that indicates this is official pre-release clarification. So they're already like, okay, this might be confusing. Let's get ahead of it. And there's not that much here. Example goes with 4.34 and should read. Okay, so there's some rulebook errata with the example and a couple of other tidbits of minor errata. That's not a big deal. Player aid cards, a couple of minor bits. This is not a big deal in terms of potential pre-release errata. Like, this is a very small set. It's nice they print this out for you. I appreciate that. That's good. All right. We're not going to quite jump into the map, so those are obviously going to be attractive things to look at. Let's get this bag off. All right. Rulebook. This is glossy. I'm not, glossy is fine. I'm not a glossy guy. I prefer matte for if I have to write in the rulebook for some reason. So this is 2-column format color rulebook. You can see the different sections of the rules. So we learn about naval scenarios. We have land scenarios, and we have a campaign. So important to understand, like, that you can play any of these in part. So we could potentially be playing just a naval scenario, get our feet wet with that, play some land scenarios, and then break out into a full campaign game. You start to see QR codes now and these things, which I think is really interesting, advancing in our technology. So you can see 2-column format, nice big text, easy to read. It is in color, showing, in this case, naval battle stuff. How does naval combat work? Determining, I see what, ship placement, determine range, naval gunfire. So how do we fire? Gunnery range, gunnery types. So some level of detail here, guys, which is always interesting. I have not played the original of this game, so all this would be new to me. I'd be like newly learning the game. But here you see the naval scenarios that are just part of the rulebook. So we have Manila Bay, which that's interesting to think about. Yeah, okay. All major elements of the Spanish Asiatic Fleet. Battle of Santiago, the Florida Straits, Manila Bay, Dos, Spanish Raiders, U.S. Raiders. So that's 6 naval scenarios. That seems like a nice amount. And then we get into land rules, which, don't look extraordinarily different from many other war games. I'm sure this will be very reasonably straightforward to incorporate. Looks like we do have Zocs, units with steps, land sequence of play, supply, land movement, artillery, combat declaration, attack requirements. So all fair, and they've got some. They do have some examples in here of how things should operate, all in nice full color. So, like, this is actually pretty nice. I appreciate that. Also like the inclusion of quotes with the rules. That's just nice flavor. I like that. Amphibious landings and some of the land scenarios. So there's a few other special rules about various things that you need to incorporate. So fair, we're on page 21 of the rules. We're already getting through most of it. This is not going to be a huge, difficult game to learn, I don't think. So we have Santiago, Cienfuegos, which I'm probably mispronouncing, I'm sorry, Puerto Rico. On to Havana, scenario 10. And then we have the campaign game rules, which this is going to be probably the big show. So we have campaign weather, reinforcements, rules about Marines, major versus minor port, naval movement at that scale, blockades, coal supply, that's always good. I like to read about coal supply, when to burn coal, transporting units. We've got, what was that? Optional Philippines. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Let's see, this glossy paper can sometimes be hard to grab. And then just running through, okay, campaign events, victory conditions, and suggested reading, design notes. I'm going to make sure to read that. And then, U.S. Navy Order of Battle, and I bet there's a Spanish. Yeah, there is. That's cool. Yeah, okay. And then the expanded sequence of play for the full campaign. So that's a robust rulebook here, guys. Coming in, actual rules start to peter off around late 30s of rules. You're, 32 pages of rules-ish, something like that. That's not so bad. If you're just like, hey, I'm going to pick up this game and play it for the first time, what is this going to look like? If only I could hold on to things today. I'm getting dirt on my bag. All right. So what else do we have? Well, we've got a crap load of player aid sheets. Okay. Now, I'm not going to run through each of these in the deepest detail. Sequence of play with some setup card, which is not, this is not the best place to put a setup card, but I could understand for the campaign game at start, this might be fair. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at the sequence of play. We have more naval scenario setup cards, double-sided. Some of the land scenarios, the random event. So this is, you draw a chit, you get to have one of these events take place. So there's two-sided up to, I guess, 26 random events for the U.S. and 26, I bet, random events for the Spanish. More setup cards. This is the player aid card, cavalry retreat, land combat bonus, land combat results. And some additional operations, naval gunnery, more setup, terrain, more setup. Oh, these are reinforcements, okay. Okay, so this is a separate turn record track you'll want to set up next to your maps. Makes me wonder, you're probably going to need a fair amount of map space if you're going to have like everything up. So this is campaign, game start. Boy, okay. There's a lot here, guys. So you get your bang for your buck, I'll say that much at least, in terms of all these different player aid sheets. Definitely need to spend some time organizing these as you need them for what you're playing. I would definitely, if I should say, when I get to playing this, I'm going to probably start with the scenarios and not jump right into the campaign. Allow myself the opportunity to learn. But it looks like the game has plenty of support for just that process. I'm going to stick everything back into my suffocation warning bag for that. In all seriousness, folks, keep your plastic bags out of the range of your small children. All right. We've got lots of maps now. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to slide the box out of the way. And we're going to start with looking at... Whoa! All right, this is cool. I'm going to like this. All right, I think if you're going to play the big thing, guys, this is... Oh, my goodness. Okay, hold on. All right, so you have half of a standard size map, and this map is almost cardstock. I would not call it a paper map. It is burgeoning on cardstock. It's definitely thicker. Because of that, the pooching is going to be more intense. You're definitely going to want to use plexiglass for this. Okay, but you can see here's the map of Puerto Rico, with San Juan being kind of a critical location here. And I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit. I got some project stuff I'm working on the other side of the table with punching and clipping a game, but get this on here. This is Havana, which is not all of the island that Havana exists on, but it is the sort of city and areas all around Havana. And that's just one map, guys. This is one map. You can hear it. It's like thicker cardstock is what this map is. Reminds me a little bit of some of the like Napoleonic War CDG special map that you could buy. Okay, let's really quick look at Cienfuegos and Santiago. Same story here, right? You're going to see there's a majority of the immediate areas around the hot spots. And, if you're just playing, I mean, you could fold this up differently if you wanted. If you were just playing one of these scenarios, you could, just set up what you need and don't set up the rest. But that's obviously, we're not even done yet. That's a lot of map coverage. And then we have the strategic map, which, let's see. How do I want to set this up? I'm going to set it up this way. Maybe I should cut the camera, right? Nah. We're just going to do it live. Whoosh. Okay. Wow. All right. And then you have the strategic map, guys. And it is set up that each player, is maybe sitting across from the map. So like, here's here's one angle of the map. Somebody's sitting over there. They're seeing their side of the map. Where you have the battle line for naval combat over here. And then we've just got the rest of the map in totality here. And this is mounted. This is a mounted map, sort of the modern mounted maps that you would expect to see, single-sided. So, you really look at that, guys, and if you were like playing the grand campaign, right, this is burgeoning on like you need a lot of space. You need space for the strategic map, and then you need space for the two big tactical maps that are going to have 4 different, actual playable maps on them. And then, whatever other player aid sheets that you may need. You're going to need a lot of table space, right? If I play this here at home, I'm going to have to use up a lot of my table space here dedicated to all these different maps with my plexi down in support of all the different events that might be happening simultaneously. I don't know. Okay, and while we've got the map out, let's take a look at the counters here. Now, there is a plastic wrap around the counters, okay? And I can already feel like these counters are going to come right out of the counter sheet. Really, really easy. I can tell you that they're brown core. You can see them like that. Brown core, 4 sheets. Looking like they'll be really easy to punch out. In terms of alignment, they look okay. But I'm going to get this shrink wrap open. This is a subject, guys, that, doesn't get a lot of coverage in history classes. You get a little bit of it. I know growing up, like, we covered it super duper briefly in my education, if I remember right. Very briefly. So if nothing else, this is a good learning opportunity for folks. Plays into, America's role in the Philippines, all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's just take a quick look. I'm going to be very gentle. Oh, yeah, these things are going to pop right out if I'm not careful. Oh, jeez, okay. Being super careful, guys. There you go. Lots of units. Color-coded, various markers. Gently push that over. Right, these are your 3/4 inch counters. So everything looks good. If it were me, I'd maybe have the actual counter content like a smidge aligned further to the right where the die was cut, but nothing seems off. Everything looks pretty good. So that much I'm happy for. And then we have, oh boy, I'm going to be busting these guys. Naval units, and they likewise are looking good so far. Again, I would align these guys just a smidge to the right because we're close. We're close to nipping. You can almost see the M of Massachusetts is almost getting cut off. It's just off by a smidge. A smidge being exactly, you know, a measurement, guys. But you can see, you can kind of tell what I'm talking about. Just it just should be aligned to the right, just a little. Like the die cut should have been to the right, just a smidge. But there's thankfully no actual like negative impact to the counters. Just a little bit off. But it's not, nothing's cut off, thank goodness. So that's looking good. And then we have the Spanish, and then we've got boy, this is a shame. We've got like half a counter sheet that's not being used for anything. Now, I don't mind having these because it means I've got spare counters that I could always use for my own purposes. But they could have maybe done something with those counters. I don't know what. Maybe some optional variant counters or something. I don't know. But there you go. But the counters look good, guys. No issues. No real issues there that I'm seeing. And so we'll call that a win. I always like to see it, you know, in good order. So getting all this stuff back in the box. This is looking good, guys. Now, you know, I don't have a lot of familiarity with the original game, so it's hard for me to say like, oh man, this is a great game. I think it's going to be an interesting game. You know, there's one thing I am wondering about. I don't recall seeing the laminated bits, and maybe I'm just missing something. Oh wait, here they are. Yeah, they are laminated. Okay, they have it's you can see how it's glossy. These are the laminated bits, I think. So I don't know. That's a little weird, maybe with the markers. I might prefer just to print out a sheet of paper and photocopy and use a pencil. But we'll have to look at that. I'm gonna have to try this out. You know, I'm definitely interested in getting this played either on the channel soon, or maybe I take it to a game convention and I change what I'm taking to that convention to play, because I am actually interested in this as a game and as a thing to cover. I do wonder, and this is just idle thought, you know, does this reissue, this reprint, if it's effective and it's good, does it nullify the existence of Dawn of Empire for anybody who also owns Dawn of Empire? I recall that game, you know, had some errata issues and stuff. It wasn't as welcomely received as other games, where, you know, by virtue of being a designer signature edition game or a reprint remake of an older game, we're putting life back into something that did work for the period, for the gameplay. The strategic level down to the tactical level, being able to play everything together, being able to play smaller scenarios to get a feel for the system, I think is really good. Like, I don't know if that was in the last edition, but I appreciate just looking through the rule book that there are a lot of, you know, options, a lot of player aid cards. Like, this is a robust version of the game. Time will tell on, you know, is there some other errata there that we're not appreciating? Are there any other issues? At the time I'm doing this video, it just came out, right? Like, this arrived earlier today. I'm finally getting around, you know, after work and everything else in my life, to do the video. But please, you know, take a look at this one. I'm very interested in it. I'm really stoked to have a game on the subject that feels very robust and has a lot of different elements to it. So that's exciting. And I'm definitely going to want to play this here soon. My backlog is very large, guys. It's very hard to get to everything I want to get to, but this one in particular, I've been looking forward to getting this year. So thanks for watching. Hope this unboxing video helps to inform what is in the game box if you're interested in the Spanish-American War 1898. from Compass Games. If you have gotten the game and you have some thoughts, you want to put that in the comments section down below, I would appreciate that. Always interesting to share opinions and thoughts on this as we get to playing it here in the community. So let me know. And yeah, thanks guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Keep on gaming.